Okay. So, 17 is one of these groups where I truly, genuinely like every single person in the group.
Wow.
I was introduced to 17 right at the start of the pandemic, and um, they they have this show called Going 17, which is like on YouTube, and it's like just like their daily lives, and they play these little games and have challenges. They play Mafia a lot. And so I've cycled through having a bunch of biases, but currently I have two faves, and I love Jong'un. He is like he's so beautiful. He's a beautiful man. He was definitely one of these. I feel like every K-pop boy group, you have the like obvious talents, and then you have the people that are like, he is so attractive, get him in here. We'll figure out what he does later.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
one of
Jong'un,
those.
I do think he might have just been like, get this beautiful man in this group. We'll figure out it. And he can sing, but he's definitely not the strongest singer. He can dance. He's not the strongest dancer, but man, that face card never declines.
Is there like
And
a
I like
K-pop
him.
member who's just like, oh, that one's busted? Like it's
Never.
like never, right? Like I've never
No,
seen that
never.
before. Okay, so what? And you said another one. Who's another one?
I love Hoshi. I think
Hoshi.
Hoshi, I love watching him perform. He's such a talented dancer. He's very silly.
Mhm.
Um, oh, but what I forgot to say about Jong'an is one of the reasons he's also my favorite is because he always cheats at the games they play, and I think it is hilarious. Like you can count on Jong'an. He's gonna cheat at Mafia, 100%.
Mm. Hmm.
And I respect that, you know?
You respect that.
I think it's hilarious because it's like it's just so silly. They're also silly
Mhm.
together. Um, they just seem like they have a lot of fun together as a group, and that's what really attracted me to them as a group. Beyond like them having good music and like liking their music videos, when I started watching their interview, like they are ridiculous boys. They're so
Mhm.
silly. They remind me kind of an improv group sometimes because it's just very yes anding. They like really hype each other up, and it's good vibes, you know, especially when there can be a lot of drama in the K-pop industry. It's refreshing to just get a group that's just kind of like fun, silly, makes good music, you know? That's
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah. Well, speaking of good vibes, fun, silly, having a good time, we're here to talk about 17 on this episode of I've been meaning to listen to that. Quick.
Yay.
Remember that record that you bought me like 2 years ago? Well, I just remembered that it's sitting in the closet. So I called you up just to tell you I've been meaning to listen to that. I've been meaning to listen to that. Why don't you come over and talk about it? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Why don't you come over and talk about it?
Whew. Hi, everybody. Welcome to I've been meaning to listen to that, the podcast where we go through albums we've been meaning to listen to and use it as a conduit to learn about each other and our guests. I'm Andrew Ambrose Lee, and it's just a solo episode today. It's just me. But fortunately, we have a wonderful guest here to talk to. She's an improviser and a writer, and she beckoned in Short King Summer like
What
this year.
what?
Like with thanks to with Kendrick and Sabrina Carpenter, like she beckoned it in like a few years before, and now it's finally
Yeah,
here.
they copied me. Sabrina Carpenter absolutely copied me.
Yep, that's right. Please welcome Liz Adams.
Woo, 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 woo. Hey guys, what's going on?
Not much. I don't know. Just chilling out. Hi Liz, thank you so much
Hi.
for being here. Yeah, let's talk about let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about we're here to talk about 17 Face the Sun, their fourth
Mm-hmm.
studio album. That's also Face the Sun is also Donald Trump's favorite album in the way he likes to look at the sun also. Like
Hey, nice one.
It's
I don't
hard doing
care.
like an episode with just like one person here, so it's like there's no like studio audience, so like Raptor's just like the begrudging respect of Liz Adams. So that's but yeah, like we're here to talk about 17 Face the Sun. And yeah, like let's talk about 17. We talked about it a little bit in the cold open, but and you said a little bit that you got into 17 during the pandemic.
Yeah, right at the
Yeah.
beginning of when everybody was in lockdown and we had all the time in the world. I'm an actress, and so like nobody was working, all the sets were shut down, nobody knew what to do. And so all I had time for was K-pop and K-drama. I was like, and this was before I had a kid, so like really just the best time to like dive headfirst into an obsession.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I like really got into 17. I watched a lot of their content. There are so many of them. There are not 17 of them. I think, how many of them are there? 11,
13, yeah.
13? There's
Yeah, it's
13 of
like
them.
13 members, three little subgroups, and then one
Hmm.
like main group. And that's why they're called
Yeah.
17, apparently.
Well, they're fantastic. I love them.
Hmm.
And they just really like I was saying, it's just the vibes. They have such great vibes. They're all really talented, interesting, funny guys. And they all, it's like there's something for everyone. They have all have such different personalities. Like Seungkwan is the funny one. He's the one that's on all the variety shows. Chances are, if you've watched, like, if you watch a lot of variety shows, you've seen Seungkwan. Like, he's very, very funny. And he is the voice of an angel. And then there's like the I call him the hot one because he's the one that all my friends I introduced 17 to are like, who's that? And that's Mingyu. He is just like his face, perfect. Um, and he is a rapper. He's great. And then the rest of, I mean, they're so talented too because they self-produce. And I think most K-pop groups don't.
By the way, I'm
Especially
looking at Mingyu right now. I know
he's
now. Yeah.
beautiful. He's
Yeah.
so, so hot. Like just genuinely like so such a good looking man. But I think there's definitely something for everyone in this group. Like the personalities run all over the place. Like Wonu too. Wonu is one of the first ones that caught my eye. He's really, really quiet. And if any of you have ever seen like me IRL, my husband is a quiet man. And so, like that to me, I'm like, yes, that man is being quiet, minding his business. I'm into it.
So what was it? What? So like, you said like this is during the
Hmm.
pandemic. You discovered them, and you
Hmm.
said you needed like an obsession, basically something to fill your
Hmm.
time when things were going wild in the world. But like, what was it about them that like allowed you to be so obsessive beyond just the fact that there's so many? Was it just the fact that there are so many members and like?
I definitely feel like I took it as a challenge to get to know each member because when I first like saw them, I was like, there's way too many of them. I'll never like get to know any like because most K-pop groups are like 5 people,
Yeah,
like it's not.
BTS is like 8, right? Like,
No, no.
how many are
There's
there?
6 of them, I
6 of them.
believe.
Okay. Oh.
Unless I'm forgetting BTS members. Oh my gosh, BTS stans are gonna murder me. One, two, three, four, five. Oh, seven. 7 of them.
Okay.
Okay, I was close. Um, but 13 people is a lot to keep track of.
I don't have
And
13 friends. Like,
oh man, I'm planning my daughter's side note. Planning my daughter's birthday party right now, and she is absolutely like the mayor of the playground. She
oh,
comes in, and all the kids. Her name is Ra Ra. That's her nickname. All the kids are like, "Ra Ra."
oh.
Thrilled to see her. So now I'm planning our birthday party, and I'm like, oh my god, this her popularity is getting expensive.
Oh. I can't relate to that at all. Like,
Well, I'm gonna have like I was already looking for I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do when she's like 16? I have to throw her a giant 16th birthday and she's like, gotta invite the whole school. I gotta sabotage her social life quick. Anyways, back to 17.
mhm.
So the first video, oh well, I knew some of their songs before because they were like they've been popular for a while. I wasn't like the first one to discover them. They were big in Korea. They used to be with Pledis. Now they're with Hybe, which is BTS's agency. Um, because Hybe like owns Pledis or bought Pledis or whatever you want. I don't know like the specifics of the business acquisition end of it. But anyways, so now they're getting more, the last few years they've been getting more popular in the States because Hybe has a good like US marketing plan. But back when I like found out about them, they were more of a Korean band. And it was this video of them at a concert and they did the longest encore and it was so silly because it was seriously like a 20-minute encore. They have this song Aju Nice and they kept pretending that they were done and they would be like, okay, okay, that's enough. We're going. And then they would act like they were going backstage and then the music would start and then they would run back out and they literally did it for like 20 minutes and I was like, this is phenomenal. I love
Mhm.
these men because they would and they really like hammed it up and it was just such a joy to watch people just having so much fun on stage and like the, the
The audience getting
cons
into it.
audience loved it and then I was able to see them in person a couple of years ago and they did it and I wanted it to go on for like 2 hours. I was like I could sit here and watch them do this forever. And so that was the first because just that energy. And I think this is their group for me too has a really like forward moving energy when it comes to their music too. It's very like it's not like boring, it's fun. And I think especially at that stage in the pandemic, we were all like, what's going to happen? Are we all going to die? Am I ever going to be able to leave my home? It was just such a welcome escape from
Mhm.
just uncertainty. And it was great. And then they have this like web show called Going 17 where they just do funny little challenges. It's like a mini variety show with just the group. And that was just a really fun, like good vibes show to watch too. Just very like cozy, comfy, happy, no real stakes, you know? And I think that's what I was really looking for in my
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, I think like especially now I don't know. I imagine it's the same back then, but like I think there's an emphasis these days on like occasionally having just things that are just good vibes and good
Hmm.
because the world is so chaotic and like the we're just like living through so many like cultural moments all the
Oh my
time and then
gosh,
we don't know
yeah.
when the next one will be or we don't know when a certain resource will run out or something. It's wild. Like, yeah, like there's not a guarantee that like we'll have a good president this year.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
it's so yeah, like I think like there's a part of me when I was listening to this, I was like, where are the stakes? Where what are I need something a little more substantive, but like once
You
I
wanted more
like
drama.
yeah, I wanted more K-drama, not K-pop. But once I like kind of like let that go, I was able to enjoy it way more. And then as I dove into the lyrics a little more, like translating them a little more, I discovered that there's some interesting stuff happening here. There's some interesting, like I think they're grappling with their fame and their I think like one of the leaders apparently one of the facts about them like S Coop I believe is his name
He's the
um
leader of the group.
yeah like he had to leave the band because of like anxiety and
He
so
took
they're
a hiatus.
yeah he took a hiatus and so I think like this was that like before or after this though
This
the
the album?
hiatus
I
the
think it
what
was
yeah
before this album, I want to say.
okay so like so then S Coop is back now basically.
Yes, he's back
Okay.
now.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of view this album as like if he's not like directly like writing everything or like kind of doing it, I think it's like kind of there may be some of that informing this album about like facing your fears, facing the sun, like charging into like the unknown into superstardom. Just I think there's a little bit of that. But as for me, like my preconceived notions on this was like you mentioned 17 on the last episode you were on the
Oh, did I?
HOT episode. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You talked about and um you talked about how there were like 13 members and I immediately was like, "Well, I'm checking out. I'm not that's too many. Like it's like honestly, if there are like 13 people at a party, like I'm not going to remember their names. I'm sorry. If I meet 13 new people at once, I'm not going to remember their names. Like I remember the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It took me like
Hmm
3 seasons to know all the 5 characters' names. Like I was just like I just like kind of got their general vibe, and then once I got it, I really liked it. But um yeah, like so I'm still not there yet. I'm still not like, oh, I know this one. Oh, this one's my bias. Oh, I like this guy a lot. I like oh, I can't even like tell their voices apart, really.
I
They're
mean, it's a
very yeah.
commitment. It's a commitment for
Yeah.
sure to like
Yeah.
get into 17. You're like, when you get into the fandom, you're like, I'm in. 'Cause
hmm
you,
hmm
but it's also like, so the thing about 17 that they're known for in K-pop is how in sync they are when they
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
Their dancing is like, if you watch any of their practice videos, they are so, so good at dancing. It's
hmm
crazy. There are no weak links. Like, and there are some that are definitely like, you have the dance performance team, and they are definitely like some of the best dancers in K-pop, in my opinion. And, but like, they all look good, you
hmm
know? Like, some other K-pop groups are definitely the ones that you're like, okay, obviously this guy can't dance. They put him in the back all the time,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
just try and focus on the one that's like doing all the fancy stuff. But
hmm
and it's like it's really cool because they do their own choreo too. I think what I'm so impressed by with 17 is that they do it themselves, and they're really like they are performers. They do their own music, they do their own lyrics, they do their own raps, they do their own choreo. And like it's also fun because a lot of them have solo projects, and it's fun to see their personalities when they do their own solo things because it's like, okay, outside of the group, who are they too?
hmm
And so I think that's really interesting. Hoshi's got some really good, like his solo stuff is my favorite, I've got to
Okay,
say.
okay. I gotta check that out. What's like
Fighter, that's the one.
what's the context then of like a non-17 like K-pop band? Does just like some like songwriter write it for them, or like what's the
Yeah,
process for
usually
yeah.
it's like, so I'll say for instance, like Blackpink, the majority, if not all, I can't say exactly, of their songs were produced by Teddy, who is an OG YG person. He was in a group called One Time. One time is one time for your mind. Very old, like early K-pop, first
Mhm.
gen.
Mhm.
And he has produced, like, he's their signature sound. And um, that's Blackpink. But it's not like, oh, Jenny wrote this song for Blackpink and they're performing it, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Or and like they'll kind of do, I think I don't know how involved they are in it, but like with 17, Uzi is their producer. He's to describe him so you could pick him out of the lineup, he's the small one. He's the shortest
Yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
And he's phenomenally talented, but he produces
Oh
all
wow.
their music for the most
And
part. And
and
like,
he dances and sings and all
mhm,
that stuff. Wow.
mhm. I know. It's so impressive. And
Mhm.
they all have like input, I think, but he's definitely like their musical heart. And Hoshi choreographs a lot for them. And I know they work with other peoples, they collaborate with other producers and stuff. It's not like nobody touches their music but them, but they're so much more involved in their own music than any other K-pop group I'm familiar with. And
Wow.
I think that is just so, how do you be that productive?
Yeah. And then also like
How?
13 members is like, how do you
Hmm
like have you ever had like 13 members in like a group chat or something like that? How do you like
I know.
synchronize them together? Like how do you get them to be at the same page, the same level? Like when I first like kind of was researching for this record, I was a little um I almost took it for granted. I was like, because it was like so like I was watching the videos and they were like so in sync and so smooth that I wasn't like it wasn't moving me because it felt like too perfect.
Mm.
But then when you think about it, like, oh shit, like they're they're not showing you the sweat that went into it. They're just showing
Yeah.
you the final product. Like with Chapel Roan, we're seeing like, oh, this is the effect Fame is taking on her. Like we're
Oh my
like pretty
gosh.
actively. But yeah, like these guys seem like just totally total sweeties. Like
Hmm
I imagine like in the reality show, they don't like really get too into like their personal lives. It just seems like a nice time, really. Like
Yeah, it's usually just a really nice time. I mean, I think that, yeah, I've seen them get like emotional because they like love each other and appreciate each other, but it's not like, oh, my mom is sick.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not like that because it's also like I imagine most K-pop idols are pretty private about their personal lives.
Hmm.
Because K-pop stands can be a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Get a little obsessed.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I think what I find very interesting about 17 and a lot of K-pop groups is like they're more symbolic rather than parasocial. They're just kind of like living they feel like living archetypes more so that like and like I don't know. Like let's talk about themes of this album though.
Okay.
What do you think this album Face the Sun is about? This is their fourth album. So what do you think what do you take away from this though?
Hmm. I think that it was very like forward moving, right? And then I said that like I think a lot of like they're like March, Domino, and Shadow for me feel really like moving forward in like life, like overcoming, facing the sun and the shadows behind you, that kind of thing. Like even the song is called Shadow. Um, and I think I've read that they really wanted to like convey their own story as a group with that, with this album and sort of like making new choices and being like courageous. I think that translates to me. It's very like uplifting. That's the word I'm looking for. Uplifting.
So like like based on like some of the videos, they seem a little like um head empty sweetie pies. Like they seem like just like generally like, oh, they're so pleasant and nice and like, oh, they like and stuff like that. But like there's a few like um for like empty-headed sweetie pies, they have a few like references to like ancient and like um ancient and classic literature, like where like the hot song is like referencing the myth of Helios, like the Greek god, where like he like rides a chariot. He has the sun in the back of his chariot, and he rides the chariot around the sun around the world. And like one day, his son takes the chariot. Like with his arrogance and his inexperience, he tries to ride the chariot and then he dies. And then like the next day, Helios has to ride around the sun again. And he's very sad. And then like Don Quixote is like the story of like this guy who like believes like windmills are giants and he like charges after them. And then that's like it's like a story about like delusion, a story about just like having such like wild beliefs and like charging for them anyways. But I think it's like kind of like they're trying to be they said in the little end like voice note, like we're trying to be like the sun, we're trying to be as influential and as like big as the sun. And in that quest you could become like you could like burn out or like fall off or like go crazy or something like that. So like these are songs I feel like to like pump themselves up as they try to reach stardom, as they try to be influential, as they try to like maybe like be as like big or like as international as BTS or any of these other great bands. So yeah, that's what I was that's some of what I was taking. But other than that, I just think it's like fun Zumba music. Like it's
I
fun
mean,
Zoom. Yeah.
yeah, I will say I don't think they're like as deep as a lot of other groups. Like I do think even like BTS, I do think they tend to have, especially when when Rap Monster, when RM writes,
He's
like
really talented. Yeah.
he's really deep. And I think that's okay. Like I feel like my husband and I make this joke all the time that I have bad taste in movies because I love fluff. I don't watch a lot of like TV dramas, like all the ones that like Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep
Yeah.
are in. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just not looking for a bad time when I watch TV. I'm looking to escape. I'm looking to be entertained. And I think that is my content sort of strategy when I'm looking at content, I'm consuming content. I just want to be entertained. I think maybe that's why I like 17 so much is because they're
Yeah.
just genuinely entertaining. I love watching their dances. I love I'm not really thinking too deep about their music, and that's okay with me, you know? Like if I'm like going through a real sad time or something, I'm just gonna I'll put on some like I don't know, Adele, you know.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't need it from my K-pop.
Hmm. Hmm. No,
So,
no, yeah. Yeah, I think it's like that's so valuable. That's so valid too. Like just like understanding like, oh, you and me, like we have like different like approach. Like when I like am sad or when I'm like um what I want to like kind of get into something a little deeper, like where like Michael, one of our co-hosts, like when he's in a bad mood, when he's in a funk, he wants to listen to something more uplifting or
yeah.
something. It's like different, and it's like, but for me, I need to like get deeper into it so that I could like get out of it. But yeah, I think it's like also just like understanding like oh people's like consumption the way people consume things is different than like
Mm-hmm.
each other and like I think that's wonderful. I think I'm really I'm really am grateful like I get to talk to you and like oh wow yeah absolutely that makes so much sense like
Yeah, I just
I
want a
sound
good
weird
time. I want to like put on some music and dance around, you
mm-hmm,
know?
mm-hmm, yeah.
And 17 music is perfect for that.
Yeah, yeah. It truly, like I said, the Zumba music, but like I feel like if this showed up on any of the playlists that on the Zumba class I take, I'd be so happy. I like, oh, this one has like a nice
Wait, I
dip
love
in the
that you
middle.
actually do Zumba.
I
That's so
do, yeah,
great.
it's great. Yeah. Um, let's see. Any other like kind of big themes about this album or just 17 in general? What do you feel like anything else you feel like they represent or this album is like trying to say beyond all the stuff we were talking about?
Um, I mean, so when you asked me what album I wanted to do of 17's, I had a hard time picking because I like just so many of their songs
Mhm.
and like they also have like 100 mini albums. And so I don't know if you like went through their discography, but it's like it's massive.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
been a group for a long time too.
And isn't
They
there like there's another version of this where it's like this album except a few more songs and then reordered.
Yeah,
And then there's
yeah.
like also like little there are like five different versions of this album too, like that I, mm,
I don't even know how many versions of everything there is. I just know that it's a lot.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so I was having a hard time picking, but when I listened to this album, for me, it's a no skip album. Like
Yeah, sure.
I like it all. I like all the songs. I don't know. I don't know. You're probably, you're so much deeper than I am.
Oh no.
I'm just like, it's fun. I like it. They're
But
cute. I
but
like
also like
them.
I don't have a child. The other thing is like I don't have a kid, so it's like that. Like I have like I sometimes I like listen to things or like watch movies like to experience life a little bit, where you're like living a life and then like you need a little break from life.
Oh, yes. Actually, you know what we should do? We should do
Hmm.
a kids music. I've been meaning to listen to this someday because I got opinions about some of this kids music I've been listening to.
I mean, like let's like, have a little sneak peek of that. Like, what's a take on some kids music that you want to share?
Some of it is just like what I imagine like the FBI or like CIA is using as a part of their like mind control programs or some shit.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Coco Melon is just so like it's like makes your brain bleed. But like Blue's Clues, Filipino host Josh slaps. He's awesome. Love him. We stand him. My daughter's in love with him. She'll go up to the TV and kiss it when he's on
Oh.
TV. And he was like the Aladdin understudy on Broadway.
Oh.
And so like my man can sing.
Oh, sick.
And so like Blue's
Ah.
Clues any day. I will listen to Josh from Blue's Clues sing any day.
Josh is her bias, like
Oh
her
yeah,
like a Blue's
100%.
Clues bias, like not Steve
Oh
or
yeah.
what's
No.
his name? Like Steve and
The guy in there's
Joe, right?
Steve and then I think Joe. Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
they still like come on sometimes, but Josh is where it's at.
Mm, 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 mm. So that's good information to have. Yeah, like I would say also like I also think like this album is like And you're the person who actually has a child, so like you'd probably know a little better than me. But like this is probably like good music for kids, or like like maybe like a 10-year-old or like a 13-year-old in a way. It's just
Yeah,
like this is like
they're very
it.
clean, very above board. They don't really swear. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes on their show, they'll like drink beer, you know,
Oh, never mind. I revoke
but
their role models.
they're not like one of those like hard rap, you
Hmm,
know,
hmm. Yeah, like this is
or
like
well,
apparently this
Korean
is
hard rap isn't really that hard, let's be real. But
yeah, like
um
this is apparently supposed to be like their like stepping out of their clean cut image where they're like still like so like
well,
gorgeous
actually,
and
I
like
will say when
sweetie.
I
Yeah.
first saw the music video for Hot, I was a little like, oh, Omo. Like, cause, and it's also just like there's so much happening and there's like so much fire on the screen. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, but
Yeah. But like I remember like I feel like with like NSYNC or like Backstreet Boys, there's like it's like a really harmless group of boys to have like a crush on. It's like kind of just like they're
mhm.
really sweet and they're really like and like it's not like dirty or sexual or anything, and it's not
I
like
mean, that's also it, Korean music in general, Korean culture, like that's not okay. Their TV and media is very censored. Like if a dance is or song is too sexual, they just won't put it. You won't hear it.
mm,
Like just won't. And so that's why the only things that are a little innuendo, usually they're in English. And
oh,
so like, because there are even like there's some Blackpink songs that I like side eye, and I'm like, because they'll be like in English, and I'm just like, that's a little naughty. But the Korean Gen pop, for the most part, doesn't really know what it's referring to, so it's not like the same.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But there's still innuendos. It's not like, just no Cardi B, Nicki
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Minaj kind of overt.
Yeah, yeah. And let's go into songs then. Let's talk about some highlight songs first. What is a highlight song from this album that you enjoyed? You said
Um,
out, but like what's a like the number one for you?
think Shadow for me is really, I like it musically. I like the melody a lot that they do the shadow, my shadow. Do, 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 I really like just where that goes. I like songs that are fun to sing.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, it's because it's
uh,
like in like mostly a different language than English. Like you kind of like K-pop for it to appeal to like an international audience has to be like you have to count on the melodies like being memorable
mhm.
and stuff. So,
I like March and Domino. I like where is it? I like Darling. I don't generally, I will say, I don't usually like K-pop songs that are in all English because I'm like, I would prefer you sing in your native language. I just and I can get distracted sometimes when the words are pronounced silly.
I think it's
Um,
charming. Yeah, I personally think
it
it's
can be
charming.
charming, but that's just like as someone who's been listening to K-pop for my whole life, I just think sometimes that I would rather just have it be in Korean. But I do like Darling. That said, I like Darling, even though it's all English.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, yeah. You know what though? Like so my the other thing I was gonna say is like uh they they said like when they wrote like a song like Darling or Shadow, they were thinking about they say they're thinking about their fans. Like they're not like thinking about like one girl like Hoshi's
Yeah, that's
dating or
what they
something.
always have to
Yeah.
say.
But like that's what it's a funny idea though. Like because when you listen to boy bands, um, the you often put yourself as a subject of the song. So it's like, oh my God, Justin Timberlake singing about me, and like there's the fantasy element of this. Where this song Darling is a little strange because it's like and, like there's like a level of like the line about without you, I'm so lonely. When you're not here, 911 calling. And then like, friends see my feet and worry, do you, babe? Like, there's a little bit of like, ugh. Like, even though like their personalities and the way they deliver it is so sweet that you don't like read it as manipulative or read it as like red flags or anything. And I don't think they like mean it that way either. But like, I think that's like such a funny, that's my highlight song. It's just like, it's like so it's because it's so strange, but like they pull it off, and they also like I appreciate like I think it's just impressive that they're doing it in English. Like obviously,
Hmm.
like there's like oh like I couldn't write a song in Spanish, I can just like write a song and deliver it in Spanish. Like that'd be really hard for me. So
You
like
couldn't?
like all right, let me try. Mesa.
Bailamos.
Oh, this is really good. But yeah, I don't know. That's also just like I want to point out that I want to know our problem, blood type or DNA is a really
It's
good
very
boy
funny.
band lyric, like
Yes.
I think I'm grading on that level. Like that's a great like
Hmm.
yeah. So Darling's a highlight for me though.
I
It's
just,
the
it's so
catchiest.
sweet. They have really good, sweet melodies and songs. And
Mm.
I love it. Hot is just fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the Darling video and the Hot video, like kind of uh juxtaposing each other, and like how the Darling video is so sweet and so like almost like utopic and its fantasy of just like sweet guys hanging out, and then like Hot being like, hey, we're edgy, but not really. We're
There's
still
this
also really
one
safe.
part of Hot that always gets me like hype. It's when Hoshi comes in and he does this like little like fancy footwork dance in the choreo too, where I can't, it's like the part that kind of, I don't know all the lyrics because I'm just not fluent in Korean and I'm bad at lyrics in general.
Mhm.
But it's the part where he's like, da, 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 da. Like the part that is just like, took a walk. And it's just
Keep
like it
going.
gets you like hype. When I hear it, I'm like, yeah, yeah,
That's how you go when you hear that.
yeah. I'm so excited for
Yeah.
their concert. I'm going to their show when they come to LA,
Oh wow.
November, and I am
You're gonna
hype.
you're gonna go yeah like
Yeah.
during the show.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
am.
like this is a song I had to learn how to just like turn that part of my brain off, like because like the
We
lyric
have
is
such
like
different musical tastes. I
I
love it.
know, but like it's like the line when I what I wrote here is like they're gonna shoot like when you like translate the lyrics, it's like they're gonna shoot the sun with a gun and then
Yeah, man.
harness the power of the sun into their hearts and
Yeah, bro.
they're gonna like tow the sun on a chariot and drop hot songs, but also they're juicy. Like it's kind of like, but I just like
Juicy, juicy.
I just dropped it and I was like, yeah, this is fun, this is great. Like I'm having a great time. Um, yeah, but I also like it in terms of just like this could be a song about as much as it's a hype song. It's like a hype song for people with anxiety, perhaps. Like there's a little bit of like um about the burst, I can't breathe, my burning heart won't listen to me, deep, overwhelming breaths and superheated rhythm vibes. But it's also like this pump up song at the same time. Like, yeah, this is how I feel in my heart, but we're still gonna like drop hot songs. We're gonna like do this awesome dance and like have a music video that hurts your eyes. That's pretty cool. Yes, that's my take on that song.
That's very funny. I think that a little nonsense in K-pop is what makes it so
Yeah,
special.
yeah. The Sabrina Carpenter, like she has that like espresso is kind of a nonsense song. It's kind of like it's kind of you know, ba-da-dee, ba-da-da-do, it's that me espresso. It's kind of like not, it's kind of gibberish. It's great though. It's like
That's good.
yeah, yeah. What's another highlight for you that you'd like?
Oh boy. So I'm not generally like a K-pop ballad person. I feel like we've talked about this last time that like I'm not I like the upbeat songs. And maybe it's because my Korean isn't that great. And so I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're talking about. Just give me some beats. Um, but oh yeah, Don Quixote is fun too because it has that same sort of like like build up sort of vibe to it.
Hmm.
And side note, I don't know what it is like, but Koreans they all know Don Quixote. It's very random, like that. They're all very familiar with the story. It's referenced in a lot of random things, and I'm like, what is going on here? Why is that a Korean cultural crossover moment where we're all talking about
Hmm.
Don Quixote all the time? March. I like the energy of that one a lot. It's just very like I feel like that's definitely a pump up song. Like I mean, it's literally called March. Yeah, I guess none of these songs are that deep, huh?
No,
I'm
no,
looking at the
it's fine. It's
English
fine.
translations for the lyrics.
I
Mhm.
don't, is this the first time you've like checked out the English translations of some of these songs?
Like more than a glance. Yeah, I'm like actually looking at them.
It's fine. But like it's not again, not everything's supposed to, I don't think that's every song, every artist's job, is to do that all the time. Um yeah, like and like once I like kind of let that go, and then once I've listened, I'm actually glad we had more time to review this because um once I had more time of it, I was like more and more entertained by each listen. And my problem with it was like it's not deep and it wasn't entertaining when I was like first listening to it. And then as I listened to it more, I the entertainment value grew and grew and grew. And I imagine once you get to know the different band members a little more, once you get to like know like their little I still can't tell them apart. Like it's still like a little hard for me to tell them apart. So there's a little barrier there. But once I to people who like try this out and didn't like it, I would just recommend like just giving it more time. Just like it's in a
I
different
think
language. You gotta
with
like
some
yeah.
of these songs too, like you have to see them dance to really fully appreciate it because I know they have that kind of thing in mind when they make the music.
Hmm.
It's like how we're going to perform this because they're a performance group, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
They they put on really good shows and they
Yeah.
can dance.
Yeah. I don't want to
So
like think
like,
about like generational trauma when I'm like at my Zumba class or anything like that. I would just I just want something like vaguely encouraging to like you can overcome this thing. I
yeah,
don't need to think about
that's
that.
my vibe is vaguely encouraging. I would
Yeah.
say that's an accurate description of the kind of music I'm looking for.
And as
Vaguely
and
encouraging.
you as like a guest on this podcast, like you've been very vaguely
You can
encouraging.
do it. Good job.
Oh my goodness. Uh let's see. I really like oh, speaking of like fun cultural touchstones, in About You, he calls himself a green frog. And like that's a fable in Korean. The green frog story in Korean like lore, basically. My mom would tell me this sometimes.
Let me see.
Um,
Two green frogs who disobeyed their obedience. I feel like I've heard about this. I
yeah, it's
was a
like
very green frog.
yeah, it's about like a little like little shit green like child basically. And the green frog disobeys his mother, and the green frog
Oh
is
yeah,
like,
I remember
yeah,
this
yeah.
one.
The green frog's mom's like, one day I'll die and then you'll feel bad. And then she like says to her child, like,
This is depressing.
I know it's like it's a very like guilt like um
This is so Korean.
but it's like a very like the mom before the mom dies, um she says, bury me by the river, and in hopes that like the son will disobey the mom and bury her somewhere else, so that when the mom dies, the son feels bad for being disobedient his whole life. So he actually does bury her by the river and to honor her, but like he's always afraid that the river will wash her away and stuff. It's like really like it's a
This
really
is the
intense story. Like
this pachinko, the precursor to pachinko right here.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, like he calls himself that, and I think that's really like just like random.
That is
Um,
so random. I did not know they referred to the green frog. I'm a green frog, babe. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. You haven't told your child that story either, right?
No, no, I don't think I will be. I'm gonna put that out there. I think this is one we can skip.
Mhm.
We haven't
Just another
broached the
rerun of
topic of me dying quite yet. Uh,
and using that like to guilt your child into being obedient. Like that's
that's so
um
tragic. I'm sad
any
now.
lowlights of this album though.
I mean, I'm not a huge ballad girl, so I would say probably If You Leave Me might be one that I am not always in the mood for.
It's actually pronounced if you leave me.
But I do think they sound beautiful. Like, I don't think there are any real skips here. Like, I think If You Leave Me is really to showcase Seungkwan and DK's vocals because
Okay.
they have such great voices. The way you can tell them apart, they do actually sound very similar. Seungkwan is a little huskier when he sings.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a
But
bit more of a husk, and DK can go a little higher.
mhm. Any stray observations? Any stray observations? Anything you want to, you know, kind of point out or anything? Any other highlights or lowlights you want to get into?
Um, I think about not really. I like
Mm.
I like these guys. I think they did a good job on this album. Good job, guys.
This is Liz being vaguely encouraging. Like,
Nice work. Keep up the good work. You look great. You sound great. Proud of you. I am just really excited to see them in
yeah.
concert again.
Oh, well, yeah, like let's go through final thoughts and ratings. The way this works is we'll rate this album out of 10 with a fun metric at the end. You kind of like went through your general like encouraging good boys, they look great, they sound great,
I
like,
love
but
them.
yeah, like how would you rate this album out of 10?
Oh, uh, let's see. I would say I would call it like an 8 windmills out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 green frogs.
Oh, so a 10. Like
Mhm.
actually at the end of the day. Wow.
But
Um
the 2 green frogs, they are very disobedient. So take that as you will, you know. Wow, I haven't thought about that story in a while. Now I like
I know. This is
pulled
a
it up
trip for
and I'm
me
like,
too.
wow, depressing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, all Korean folk tales are a little bit like, oh. But
Uh that's the one
so
I can
are
remember though. Yeah.
I feel like all folk tales are a little messed up when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dark
Uh,
times.
yeah, I would
Least is
say,
said.
yeah, like this is like if any of these appeared on a Zumba playlist, I'd be so thrilled. And like, or like a Zumba playlist or a karaoke bar, and this is just like playing silently in the background, like the video is playing on one of the big old flat screen TVs. That'd be great. Like Korean fried chicken restaurant, like that's great.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
like.
feel like at a true karaoke bar though, the videos are always like some random man fishing and like you know what I'm saying? Like when you go to like the noraebang and like the just the weird like video that's playing while the song's
Mm-hmm,
around, it has
mm-hmm.
nothing to do with music. That's what I
Mm.
want.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Try that next time, 17. I know that you guys are good dancing, but have you thought about fishing?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It's a fun time. I had like I think if I ever saw them like in concert, I'd probably have a great time too. I still it's not enough to be like I'm obsessed with these guys and I'm so like but yeah, if I ever just came across it, I would be happy that I spent a little time getting into this album. I'd be happy that I like um instead of like some albums I'm like, well, I'm never listening to that again. I'm happy to never see that again. Like see or hear that again. So this one is like I would be pleasantly surprised if I came across it. So
Okay. All
um
right. I count
yeah,
that as a win.
yeah. So I'm gonna give this let's see. I'm gonna give this um 6 name tags that say out of control out of 10.
And how many green frogs?
Uh, one, but the other one being washed down the river. So,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. The mother's body being washed. The dead carcass of a
Yeah.
frog. Got it.
So yeah, that was our review of 17 Face the Sun. Liz, thank you so much. Thank you for being vaguely
Thank
encouraging.
you. I will
To
vaguely encourage any of you any day.
yeah, but truly, this is so like lovely. You're so sweet. You're so kind and
Oh,
fun, and like, you made me feel very safe and like just like as a like a one-on-one conversation. Like, why?
oh
It's a
my
good
goodness. Is this
quality.
therapy?
Yeah, no, just like
Tell me what
as
else is going on for you, Andrew.
usually I'm like relying on like another host to kind of like intermediate the energy a little bit. And this is like
Mm.
so lovely. And this is like
Oh,
it,
yay.
yeah, it felt like talking to like an older cousin that like
Call me
have
Luna.
like yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thank you so much. This is lovely. Liz, anything you'd like to plug? Anything that's out there that's exciting for you or
Oh,
just social media?
yeah, just my social media. I'm on Instagram at Liz Party, LIZZ Party, because we love to party. Um, I kind of haven't been t doing the Twitter threads thing. I don't know. I used to, but
Mm.
I'm Liz Party on Threads, Liz on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Mhm.
Just look at
Yeah,
me.
yeah, she's great. So yeah, check out Joshua on Blues Clues. He's pretty cool.
Oh, Josh
Uh
is the best.
yeah, number 3.
We call him
Uh
Tito Josh in this house because my daughter is part Filipino. So
wow.
Tito
Wow.
Josh, he knows
Hmm.
what's up.
Yeah, check out Tito
That's what I would like
Josh.
to plug. Tito Josh.
Don't check out Coco Melon apparently.
No,
Like
no, no. That's sent by the devil.
mm, said by the so yeah, like that was our episode on 17 by Face the Sun by 17. What a great episode. You can follow me at Andrew Ambrose Lee. You can follow the show at IBMT LTT on Instagram and TikTok. Michael at Lemon Talk on all platforms. Stenley at Snap a Sten on all platforms. Harper at Harping About on all platforms. Um, check out our Patreon. I've been meaning to watch that. We cover movies. We just did an episode on Death Becomes Her. That's very good. And
That's a good one.
it's a great movie. And Liz, anything you'd like to oh sorry. Our cover art was by Megan Rika Young. Our theme song was by Otness. And Liz, anything you'd like to just any final sentiments before we close the episode?
Great job, everyone. Keep it up.
Don't be disobedient, otherwise you'll
Yeah.
like regret for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
Your mom will be washed down the river and it'll be
Hmm.
you'll be racked with guilt for the rest of your
Yeah, don't
life.
do that.
So all right, that was pretty vaguely encouraging. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day. Click.
Bye.